the Treacherous, and the Unsleeping. During the Fourth Crusade, Baron Thranduil, a field marshal of the Carmen Monastery, marched with a big army into the lands of Horga. The goal was to rid the land of witches and other heathen scum. The hex witch Alicena managed to get in contact with the moon cult god, Morgazuzu. The god knew very well who she was, and had some sort of respect for her, at least somewhat. In a way, a powerful god can respect a simple, mortal being. Morgazuzu knew she was amongst the most powerful mortals who practice his occulti morgana magica, and was very interested to hear what she had to say. Morgazuzu knew about the crusade, but paid little interest to it, or the fate of the witches. However, Alicena explained to him through a ritual that Nevros Sergeant, Grand Demon Chi Elspethos Shar, had a plan. The idea was to convert as many moon cult practitioners as possible to the cunning faith, more specifically, to the Nevroth Order. Only she could persuade her sisters that this would be a dreadful idea, and that their god Morgazuzu had not abandoned them in a time of desperation. Morgazuzu did not want to offer the hex witch more occulti morgana power, but felt distressed to lose his grip and power to the growing threat of the cunning gods. Morgazuzu decided to deal with the matter alone. Disguised as a cloaked fauna, the god shadow ported to ambush the Corpse King Grimrook inside the Sons of Belial's catacombs. After a drawn-out duel, Morgazuzu managed to slay the Corpse King. Stealing a gift, the cryptid god Belial himself had granted Grimrook decades ago. The gift was nothing less than the treacherous Necrocrythera mechanism. The Necrocrythera mechanism was a box containing an ancient scroll with a secretly crafted spell, written in Belial's cryptic tongue. It held the keys to eternal life, specifically, the knowledge of how to resurrect the dead. As Belial was the one who created it from his cryptic magic, up until now, only the Corpse King Grimrook and Belial knew of this powerful spell. As soon as Morgazuzu touched the scroll, it began decaying because a non-believer of Belial was holding it. Time was of the essence. Morgazuzu studied the scroll and adapted it to his occulti morgana magica before casting the spell, unleashing it into the world of Strathland. For Morgazuzu, this would be a one-time use, but the scroll had decayed into thin air the second he voiced the last incantation. The spell proved to be more than enough to deal with the Fourth Crusade and Baron Thranduil. The spell managed to resurrect every single dead corpse on the planet of Strathland that had recently been killed or died. All these dead souls stood up to fight once again, with complete loyalty to Morgazuzu and Alicena. It did not take long for them to find their way to Horga. Driven by instinct and hunger, they assaulted the Carmen Monastery's army, coming from every direction. At first, the Carmen Monastery's Templars and Zealots fought back, slaying all skeletons and zombies that appeared in front of them. But as the dead grew more and more, soon the land of Horga was invaded by thousands upon thousands of walking corpses, each larger, more terrifying, and skilled than the one before. The Carmen Monastery's men and Baron Thranduil retreated after losing a vast majority of their newly captured land, eventually giving up all the territory they had gained, and sailed back to Sunkenhome, shocked and in disbelief over what they had just experienced. The events of this battle created the faction of the Unsleeping, brainless and instinct-driven undeads that had complete loyalty to Morgazuzu and Hexwitch Alicena. Their only weakness was that they could not reproduce or grow in numbers. There were a few 100,000 undeads, and they would be loyal to the moon cult until the day of the last slain Unsleeping. This angered the god Belial immensely, as Morgazuzu had interfered with Belial's magical influence and killed his greatest commander. Felial resurrected the Corpse King grimly. It would have been the first time Felial had ever resurrected one of his own followers before by himself. The planet now had two factions of undead warriors. Felial's undead horde called the Rothgard, and Morgazuzu's horde of the Unsleeping. Until this day, Felial had not yet retaliated on the Moon God and Morgazuzu. But one thing is certain. He is waiting and planning his revenge in a devious way. Ready to strike when Morgazuzu least expects it. Felial is not someone who forgets, nor forgives, for in his eyes, only he, as the Lord of Cryptid, may control the dead.